Alright guys, let's oil this thing up. I'm probably gonna get some criticism for the way I oil these things, but whatever. What I try to do is just get a little bit of oil anywhere something's moving. It doesn't take a whole lot, because keeping in mind that oil is going to make it collect dust. What I usually do is get some oil on it, work it all in, and then I'll wipe it all down after I'm done. Luckily this one, the keys are moving really well. I didn't have any trouble with them before I disassembled it, so I don't expect that I will afterwards. But some of these, they get corrosion and so much crap in there that I just have to sit there and I have to work them. And then I'll like seesaw it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to knock all the corrosion and crap off of them to where they'll actually, operate smoothly. But I don't think I'm gonna have trouble with this one because this one's been loved on for a long time. Wipe down. I feel it's sticky here on these eyes from that green crap. Why the hell that shit turns green? Something out of that ink in the ribbon breaks down over time. It kind of turns green. This little telescopic oiler really works well for getting into these funky spots. Because on these typewriters there are many. Many little moving parts. To me that's what makes these things fun to work on. It's all the little tiny crap in there, the linkages and the thoughts that somebody had to come up with, the engineering involved in making it work. Fucking fantastic. I hit these with oil, but also hit this strip here with the lithium grease. Just because it's this little slider. You see oil that's solidified on it. Have to knock that off, and then that's where the lithium grease comes into play. I think the race is over. Not sure who won. I've actually had to adjust some of these before. You can adjust these to the typing, this typeface, and how it impacts the page, the height on the page. I had to adjust that because it was off on one machine that I had for the capitals. The capital was off, and that's where these adjustments here are. But that's the thing, is like, that's what I like about these machines. So working on them is, didn't get no instruction manuals, so I gotta figure out what the fuck is wrong with them, and then how to fucking fix them. And you can hear from the F-bombs that I dropped. It's just me. Sorry. Came up kind of rough. And that's also why I mark my videos as not for children, because they're not. They're not specifically not for children, but I don't want anybody coming at me saying that, you know, kids started dropping F-bombs from watching my typewriter videos or my skydiving video or what the fuck ever. I am who I am. They're not hearing it from me, they're hearing it from somebody else. Probably you. I try to get all the moving bits that I can see up on top oiled. And then I'll flip it up on its back and do the underside the best I can. And the hopes are is that this little bit of oil that they get, synthetic oil, will last for a long time. Help protect it from oxidation. But it's funny, the smell that these machines make. They all have a very similar smell, regardless of how they've been cared for or stored. It's just an old papery, it's part of the paint, part of the paper, part of the ribbon. You know, it just has a common smell to them. Kind of dig. And then some of them smell like attics or basements, so I can tell where they were stored just by their smell. And I'm always dismayed to find one that's been stored in a basement. Because that's usually more moisture. The attics, they're not quite as bad. They seem like little drier spaces than basements. Basements and garages. Those are where they're most commonly stored. And I think a lot of them are stored and forgotten about for years and years and years, because a lot of the cases are covered in paint drops. So it's like it's sat on somebody's shelf and they painted around it and spilled paint on it. It's amazing how many of the cases I find with paint drops on the outside of them. And, you know, it's, I don't know, gone to chemical analysis on the paint. And some of it's probably old lead-based fucking paint, you know, back from the day, man. I imagine some of it's latex, modern latex paint. We're going to go through an actuator a little bit. Make sure it's all working the way it should. Or the way I understand it to work, at least. I like getting oil in springs because springs oxidize and they weaken. A little oil helps protect them, I think. Fuck. See, I fucked that spring up just like I was saying. Probably hit it with the brush or the rag. Such a delicate little spring. And I've broken them off before doing this, trying to get them in place. And then I had to sacrifice a parts machine for it. Looked out on that one, I think. Spring, you can have a little bit of oil too, since you're being a punk. Oh, you know what I like to do? I like to take this off and clean it. It's something I started doing after a while. Clean it and get some oil inside there, so I make sure that those things, because they'll bind up on the paper and it doesn't like to feed properly. And these things are just like sleeve bearings. It's got a little spring inside of it. But I popped the spring out in the sleeve bearing so I can clean it. I need to keep some Q-tips in here. Some clouds right now. Q-tips. And run through, get some of the crap out of it. I'll put a little bit of oil on it. There we go, some of it. And there's a flat spot on the bottom of this bar, and that coincides with the spring. Love it. I love how British say garage. Fantastic. Aluminium and garage are my favorites. Of course, they're saying it properly, and we've jacked it up here in America. Trying to try to get any other American to admit that shit. Can't even try to get. I try to talk to people about switching over to the metric system because the rest of the world uses the metric system, including our military. And science uses the metric system. But people are stubborn in America. They're gonna stick to a system that was invoked by a freaking king. That king has since fucking abandoned in favor of the metric system. It's like, I don't know if they just don't understand that it was created by a king. The imperial system, I mean, it says it in the fucking name. But Americans are really stubborn asses, man. Kind of getting pissed off at a lot of them. And, you know, my apologies for some of my countrymen and their behavior. It's become quite unacceptable. Obstinate, unnecessarily so. And what's sad is I always looked at us as the good guys all the years, you know. We were fighting the communist Russians and the bad guy Russians, and we were definitely fighting the fascists. And there's no argument that that was the right thing to do. Looked at us as the good guys. But over the years, I've learned that, you know, we've done our share of bad shit on the world stage, man. And we're doing a lot of it today. I'm really quite disappointed in what we're doing with these fucking concentration camps and shit. As if we didn't learn our lesson from that shit. The horrors involved. The fucking horrors. But again, like I said, this is a typing video, not politics, sorry. So see, I like to oil it down, and then I like to clean it all off with alcohol, because that way I get most of the, and I'll do that with a Q-tip where I see there's too much oil on something. I'll go back in there and kind of wipe it up a little bit, try to make it where it's not going to puddle a bunch of dirt and crap in the future. But oiling it before I wipe it down, I can get some of that oil off with the alcohol. This is always fun doing the bottom part of it. It's amazing the engineering that goes into one of these machines. You know, what's funny is I now wholeheartedly consider myself an engineer, but for years and years and years when I did refrigeration, I didn't. I thought an engineer had to have a degree. You know, I didn't have no, oh, there's a KS. Somebody's got some benchmarks on it. It looks intentional. I thought you had to have a degree, a bachelor's degree at least, to be an engineer. So I just kind of looked at myself as, you know, don't call me an engineer. I can't call myself an engineer. So when other people would call me an engineer, you know, I'd be a refrigeration or doing something to their property management, some engineering field with skill involved. I felt guilty. I felt like, man, they're gonna find me out as a phony. I'm not really an engineer. I don't have a degree. And then I realized how many engineers never had any fucking degrees. Like, you know, I don't want to say Edison, but he's one that comes to mind. He's not my favorite of engineers, just because of the way he treated animals and the way he treated Tesla in the current wars. The way he treated Alexander Graham Bell and there's a whole fucking host of other engineers that he battled. He was in it for the money and the fame. He wasn't in it for the advancement of science. So, but you know, I cite him a lot in that aspect that he didn't even finish fucking school, like primary school and shit. And there's no doubt that he was an engineer, however much of an asshole he was. He did have some achievements there, but you know, he also didn't achieve those things alone either. He had a team of people helping him. But again, this is all best effort. I didn't get no training manuals or any kind of shit on this, so a lot of it's been trial and error on my part. That's why I'm kind of pleased to share these videos with you. That way, you know, any of you are interested in tackling a project like this, you just need a little bit of confidence built. Take this as such, if necessary. Let it help you take a machine apart. And, you know, learn some of the shit that I did. Like, you get pissed off at something, you get frustrated at it, it's time to get up and go take a break. Go walk outside or something. Come back to it. Arguably, that's true in any situation, especially a desk job. Get up and go walk around. Change your focus, change your mindset. If I'm like perplexed with a problem that I'm having trouble overcoming with my mind, same thing. Just the change of focus, the change of scenery, usually is enough to help conquer the problem. And I've read and I've seen some studies about the subconscious mind continues to work on the problem, even if you're doing something else, entirely unrelated. So that's where that aha moment comes into play. Your subconscious mind has continued to work on it from a multitude of angles, but you weren't quite, you know, aware of it. I think that's fucking fascinating. So take your breaks every now and then when you need them, guys. I know we all got freaking slave masters cracking the whip on us to try to crank out those TPS reports or whatever. But hopefully we'll have a revolution in labor here one of these days. But again, I digress from my typing shit here into politics. Sorry, it's really on my mind lately. We're mostly oiled up here. I'm going to oil that slide, the bar for the platen when I put it back into place, and the rollers. I'll wipe them all down, put them into place, and then wipe everything down again afterward. But the oil on here, I don't know if it was grease. It must have been grease that they greased it with. It just solidified. It feels like wax. Hmm. You don't want to move. There we go. This is the ribbon direction selector here. You just need to actuate stuff a little bit and get it rolling. Smooths out over time. Yeah, these are oil. I get oil in there a little bit better when I can get down into them, take this bit apart. But like I said, I only take things apart as far as I have to. If I don't have to go into this mechanism, I'm not gonna fuck with it. Because then I risk breaking it and sacrificing more parts. And if it's not giving me trouble, I'm not gonna tear it up. My dad always used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't quote my dad very often, but I did learn some shit from him, good and bad. That's the funny thing is about a kid's mind, especially one as curious as mine, asking questions all the time. We're always learning shit, whether you know it or not. Whether you're aware of it or not, we're learning from it. I like to say I learned how to be a parent because my parents were such terrible parents that in any given situation I would just do the exact opposite of what they would do. And the kids turned out really well, I think. People come up to you and tell you how great your kids are and what wonderful people they are. You know, to me that's done the right thing as a parent. I get as much of the oil off the top of shit as I can, that way it just stays inside things. And another thing I like to do, you get a lot of gunk built up inside these keys. Went to sleep again. Sorry about that, folks. And my upload there stopped. Computer went to sleep. But like I was saying, I like to clean these things because you see it gets a lot of crap built up. And I find that it makes a better impression if you clean them. It has a much more distinct impression on the paper. Because after all, there's like 70 years of freaking gunk built up on this. And like the hollow bits inside these little typefaces is what's so difficult to clean. So I try to use a lot of alcohol and work it from a number of different angles. You can see what it does to my shop towel. Rehydrating all that ink that's gunked up in there. But like you can see, a lot of this stuff is just like anything else. You just have, the first part is fucking giving a shit, man. I really care about these machines, and I really care that they're returned to service. So I'm willing to go through a little bit of unpleasantness to see that happens. And I'm sure I've said many times that I'd do this for free if my bills were paid, my cat was fed. I got a vacation every now and then. I want no yachts, no fancy fucking houses. Don't need no jewelry, fancy clothes. I just need clothes. And I'd rather see people on the street, everybody having shoes and food. And I live here in San Diego, there's a lot of homeless people, or unhoused people, without shoes and without food. And I find that upsetting. Some of this, no matter how hard I try, I can't get it out of the inside of those hollow spaces. Probably if I soaked it, but that would require me taking this all these typefaces keys out. The idea is to try to get as much of the crap out of the inside of them as possible, so it makes a good impression. And it's funny how much better it does, how much better it looks on the page after this has been done. And I will admit, to the first couple of machines that I sold, including that one that lady was so happy about, this never crossed my mind, so unfortunately the typeface on the first machines that I sent out were not done. But again, I didn't have no instruction manual on any of this. It's been trial and error. But to me, that makes things kind of fun. It makes it exciting. It makes it more rewarding. I've always had secondhand shit in my life. Found it and brought it back to life, or somebody gave it to me because they didn't want it anymore, and I made it into something else. Never got an instruction manual on any of it. So it was just whatever we could come up with at the time, whatever I was had on hand, or whatever my understanding of engineering was at the time, because it's always evolving, just like science. Trial and error, I figure out ways and figure out the errors in my ways. I try not to scrub these smooth painted areas, just enough to try to get the white crap off of them. But if I scrub it too much, it ends up digging that white paint out of it, and it rubs off some of the black paint. So I just try to get it enough to where it's not gross anymore. But you can see it takes a toll no matter what. And I try not to hit the badges unless I have to. They really start to look pretty once you get all the crud off of them. So I think so. I think these are beautiful machines. I can only imagine what they look like when they came off the freaking factory floor. Goodness. Wiping some more of this excess oil off the shit. Trying to get the serial number, but not too much because I don't want to wipe that yellow paint out of it. Good, girly. Got no oil in all these teeth in here. Try to clean this rubber up pretty well. That way it grips the paper properly. And usually there's a lot of like white bits on it from correction fluid. This one hasn't seen a lot of correction fluid used, it seems. That magnetism helps with these flathead screws for sure. At least keeping them in order until you get them lined up properly. This bit's always a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes these teeth don't like to go back together properly. Or it wants to fight you. I like to get an oil on this because I've had them where it's been a garage or a basement machine where it was rusty in here and really difficult to get off. So my thinking here is get some oil on it, keep it from oxidizing, because it is basically like two dissimilar metals here. You got basically painted steel, and I don't know what the fuck that is. Pot metal, some kind of zinc coated steel. But this, you can see there's flat spots on here that all have to be lined up properly, and there's a keyway that it coincides with that little half moon clip. If you saw that when I had it apart. What I like to do is find the flat spots. One's flat, so that top one's flat, and this one's a hole. So I've got that lined up. So now it's just a matter of getting it, there you go. And then I'll line it here with that hole and reassemble it. And of course the one that's got this little edge that's not threaded, I don't know what kind of nut you'd call this, or bolt, screw, goes into that hole and kind of locks it onto place. And these are really common to be lost. These two screws, I've been meaning to get some Loctite to put on them too, to make sure that doesn't fucking happen. So they don't get lost. But amazingly, this one has all its screws. Somebody loved this machine. And I'm loving the time I'm spending with it. Thank you again to you who sent it to me. You see it's getting some love. And then I'm quite confident that its final destination will be the good home that you were hoping to see it go to. I'm trying to get the oil off of it, then I forget that the paper is basically going to want to soak that oil up too, so. I like to get a little bit of oil. I usually do it before I put that on there, and I forgot. These little bearings are at. So that way it'll kind of carry it through on both sides. What I do is I look for the little spikes that come through on those bearings, and then just oil it as it's rolling. That way it'll carry it around. Every time I see a spike come through one of these little slots, I'll put a dab of oil on it. And then when I roll it back and forth, it's kind of carrying it across that carriage. You can see it sounds better now. It's already sounding smoother. Just needed a little bit of oil and love, didn't you? Oh, sounds like magic. What a lovely machine. They really do look pretty once they've been cleaned up. Usually have all their screws. This is amazing. Usually there's missing screws. Somebody's bought something else at the hardware store. I think I've stolen all these screws off my parts machines to replace them on other machines. That's what's inspiring me to get some Loctite. I'm kicking myself that I didn't buy some fucking Loctite. But I've had to do that on the last two machines. I went and bought a hardware store, and they actually were hex screws, but it was the only thing I could find that had the right thread, because it's a relatively rough thread on it. I don't know if they're 1024s or what the hell they were, or something like that. 824s. Here's Silverstone. Maybe I get to watch the recent race. I'll have to take a break here soon and watch that. My favorite is Spa. I will always watch that fucking race. I think that's next month. I'll check the schedule. Find someplace to watch it live. So I love Spa. Elevation changes, just always been my track. I'm not a big fan of Monaco though. It's like watching NASCAR. Bunch of rich fucking ass yachts out there in NASCAR, watching a train roll around a station, basically, roll around a track. Sorry if you like Monaco and I'm tearing your shit up, but call them how I see them. You fight me for them. There you go. It sounds like a highlight reel they're doing. I heard Miami. So I'm watching the F1, the free F1 on Roku, Roku Live or whatever. So I have no idea what's going on. It sounds like cars on the track. Which, you know, like I said, I grew up listening to that kind of shit, so there's some comfort in hearing cars in the distance going around a track. Are you fighting me today? Come on. Working together here. Yeah, you're looking good, girly. Down. Again, I'm kicking myself for not getting Loctite with these screws. Try to make sure they're good and tight. But if you have one of these machines, keep an eye on these screws so you don't lose them. Because I bought parts machines from people that's all that was missing. It's like, I don't know, that they couldn't get it working, or they bought it just to take those screws out. But even a parts machine is usually like 50 bucks with the shipping. So it's a lot of money to pay for a couple of screws, I think. I try to figure those costs in my sales, so that way I'm not losing money. I just wish money was never a fucking option. It was never a problem. Didn't have to deal with it, I wouldn't. I hope you're all enjoying this as much as I am. I'm gonna get a fucking kick out of doing this. I'm not doing that. Let's do this. Start in the middle because I think that one's easier to get to. Let's tighten them all down until I get them all in. You're just determined to fight my ass today, aren't you? You know what'll help? A rounder screwdriver. Flat spots hitting that key, you're throwing me off. I fucked it up, guys. This piece is supposed to be on the other side of that. Yes, it is. I had it over top of this little flange and it was supposed to be on behind it. Explains why it was fighting me. At least partially. Sometimes when I'm working on shit, I try to think of like the amount of screws I've turned over my lifetime in mileage or kilometers. It's like, oh man, I bet it's up there. I'll say probably tens of kilometers. If not hundreds by hand. Because before I got into computers, networking, went back to school for that shit. I did refrigeration, commercial refrigeration, property management, that kind of shit. So I worked on a lot of equipment, a lot of machinery. It's always been my passion. See how much better that looks? Like night and day compared to when I started this thing. You see, this all needs like quite a bit of love here. It's like gooey green stuff, man. You can see the way these things compress. Try to open them up to get the crap out of them, but not enough to right damage them. So I'll use a little snap-off blade to get in there, widen it a little bit, and kind of scrape out the crap that's in it. Then I'll try to close it back up. That way it's holding the ribbon properly. But not too much, because I know these things get compressed over time. People fumbling that ribbon in place. At least until you get the hang of installing the ribbon. And I get bent into weird shapes. This one's relatively straight, this one's kind of bent up. Oops. I'm gonna break you. Gunk. Scratch it. Oh, I hate DRS. Wish they'd get rid of that shit. It's racing the fucking wind like you used to. If anybody has a good argument for DRS, please feel free to leave them in the fucking comments. Because I just can't really seem to find one. Buy some more shop towels and I go get some Loctite. But I thought about getting a like an old red radio flyer wagon, like from Marketplace or something like that, or locally used beat up old red wagon, and then drag my typewriters around, the ones that I have for sale. Drag them around in that to the farmers markets, because we have a farmers market every day of the week here in San Diego, somewhere. And yeah, there's always people walking around the boardwalks. But, you know, I'm out there dragging a wagon, getting some exercise out in the sun, meeting people, talking about typewriters, maybe selling one or two. But the thing is, I'm like, end up selling them to buy more, to work on more. I don't think I'm gonna have to glue this on there. This one's a good place. It's actually got a leather pad on it too. Mine doesn't have that. Mine's just felt. Oh, I love that sound. Every sound this machine makes, I love. Oh, don't you come apart on me. No cotter pin. Where? Right. There's a little trick. A little bit of grease to hold this shit in place. Until I get it assembled. Using gunk to my advantage there. Oh, gunk do your job. There we go. Oh, you get it in your place there. Red flag. What I like to do with these, a little bit of oil on them. You saw how I struggled getting them out of there. It's on that flimsy flange, and this oil will make disassembly a little easier for somebody in the future without effing that flange up. I like for this thing to make contact with the platen. That way it keeps that paper held back, and you can roll it up and then just snap that into place, just as it explains you should do in the instructions. Most of them aren't that smooth when I get them. Ugh, I ground that screw. It pisses me off. Sorry. Problem with flatheads, I guess. Oh, baby, you're sounding good. I guess I didn't bend that one down either. Trying to dust these because these cups are actually in good shape. This last video here is going to be long. I'm just about done with this. I'm just going to fight that cover back on again, I think. You see why I've got these numbered cups now, right? Makes things a lot fucking easier. Let me see where this dude goes. And what that does is it raises and lowers tension on the keys, making them easier or more difficult to strike. And that's where it's going to need some grease. I like using grease unless I have to because it really sticks a lot of crap. And you saw how it solidifies over time. Although this lithium grease, I don't know, it may perform a little better. Time will tell, huh? Right, if I can comment on that, right? Oil and grease don't mix. Looks like the cover's going on next for him. I did say I was going to have to wipe it down. And glue that shit back in there. Kitchen. have that lovely crackle finish. The ones before in the 30s had a smooth finish on them. And then like in the 60s they started going back to like that smoother 60s or 70s. Because the 50s have a crackle on them as well. I'm pretty sure they do. I'll bust open a 1950 unit and check it. That's not the glue I was hoping for. I like a stickier glue, like quick grab. I'm out of it though. Nope, god damn it. It's in here the whole time. Put a couple of dips in it too, because this stuff actually sticks better. Clear grip. Love this glue. Use this for all kinds of shit. Especially these kinds of dissimilar materials. And it's kind of thick and gooey. It's got a quick grab time. Perfect for these kinds of applications. You can see I use the fuck out of it. See, that tacks it in place well enough to where it'll hold until I get it assembled. Let's go ahead and put a couple of dips on it too. Although that is kind of pinched in there once it's assembled, I don't have to worry about that coming out. Vacuum again, watch your volume. See, this is all one welded piece here. Makes it real fun to get back together. And then you have to get it over the keys and get the levers back into place as well. Part of that fun challenge I was telling you about. You've got to do this without slicing your hands open on this sheet metal. These are a matter of getting them lined up. Those little keys that they cut out for them. I just had you in there, baby. What are you doing to me? Under that key. And inevitably, I stretched them, so that's something I have to take into account upon reassembly here. Vacuum, volume. fucking pack of them. I have to go graffiti the city some more then, because I thought I was out of these motherfuckers. I don't know if you can see it or not. Got my website on it. Got a little business card. I'm gonna have to change vendors though. I hear bad things about Sticker Mule. Sticker Giant's always been good to me. But when I had these created before DEF CON a few years ago, they weren't able to get them in time, so I had to go over to Sticker Mule. The obligatory little Colleen. And I try not to wipe this down here too much because it'll wipe off that silver leaf. And I don't want to damage that. I'd rather see it dirty than damaged. Because I just always wash it down with water. There. And these round head screws are in the back. On these, again, I like to get them lined up before I send them home. But when you do that way, it's easier to reassemble, but it's also easier to forget finally tightening some screws down. Body work is always frustrating, man. But it's that whole form and function thing, right? Here's another thing that I carefully wipe down because I don't want to damage this decal. It's actually like a press-on decal. I was definitely pounded on that screwdriver. What are you fighting now? Looks like it's going to be a bit of a battle. Not lined up properly. This is what I call my bodywork pliers. I used to hit them like this so I wouldn't do damage, but then I bit a big chunk out of my finger. You're being such a punk, man. fucking punk, aren't you, bitch? Dude, come on, I haven't even put the bottom screws in this shit. Bitch, aren't you? Walk away from this motherfucker. Got a video I'm recording here. Come on now. Shoot the fucking threads up. This is a new one. It's always something. There's always a struggle somewhere. Never fought a case on one of these like this. Fought the 1940s, 48s and above, just like this. But I've never fought one of these like this. I guess it's time for a fucking break, guys.